different parts of Kenya, a live studio audience is about to shoot unscripted questions. This is Agenda Kenya with Jason Nyantino.
On Agenda Kenya tonight, Commissioner Irene Keino, Vice Chairperson, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, Samuel Kimeu, Executive Director, Transparency International Kenya Chapter, Bobby Mkangi, Human Rights Lawyer, and Reverend Jane Muihaki Kibet, Aspirant Women Representative, Nairobi County. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Agenda Kenya, your award-winning talk show. Tonight on this program, we focus on the fight against corruption, and we want to find out if the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has capacity to fight corruption, a cancer that has dogged this country for many years. I got fantastic audience members coming in from various counties from across Kenya. Karibu sana. Our first question is from Derek Awori. Derek, your question.
My name is Derek, and I want to ask the commissioner from EACC, what procedure do you use to favor a candidate or a politician that is suitable to fight for a chair in Kenya? And how can we, the people of Kenya, trust you that your work you do is independent? Thank you.
Irene, you can take that. Talking about vetting of political aspirants.
EACC is mandated to actually enforce Chapter 6 of the Constitution. And you know, Chapter 6 is basically leadership and integrity. And the provisions within that, the provisions within Chapter 6 actually tell us how we should engage the politicians. And from Article 79, it actually says that EACC has to be established. So in the sense that we have a commission, and Article 8 now also tells us that the provisions of Parliament making a legislation, which they actually have done, that's the Leadership and Integrity Act. And from that basis, if you look at the act, the Leadership and Integrity Act that was passed, unfortunately it was watered down, but nevertheless what we as a commission have done, at the end of that act there's a self-declaration form that we have asked each aspirant to fill in. And we have actually captured around 17,000 forms have been forwarded to the commission. We are going to verify the information. First, we are going to seek other relevant institutions, like, for example, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, to give us any cases that they have on the criminal nature of any of the aspirants. We shall also liaise with the Commission of Administrative of Justice. This is basically in reference to the public servants who have left jobs, and they need, if in any case, if they had contravened any aspect of Chapter 6, we can get them through there. So,
Irene, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just looking at the self-declaration form that you've just talked about. So that is the tool you're using to vet, isn't it? When I look at the form, especially the questions under Section 9 on moral and ethical questions, one of the questions, I'll just give you an example. Have we ever engaged in any form of dishonesty in the conduct of public affairs? Have we ever abused a public office? You expect that kind of honesty from politicians?
even if they don't tell us their honesty, this form actually is commissioned under oath. Mm-hmm. So in case they tell us anything that is false, there is a penalty at the end of it. Mm-hmm. So in the final analysis, when we do the analysis of the form, we shall find out who have told us the truth or not. Because we are going to verify this information, mm-hmm. as I've told you, and we are also going to ask the public to actually give us what they know about them. Yes.
We're coming back to that for more details. Samuel, I'm worried about deadlines for EACC, because they're telling us they have 17,000 forms already in, and we know that the elections, the deadlines are very tight.
Yes.
Do they have that kind of time to go through these forms and verify this information?
No, I don't think the EACC has the time to be able to do that. But the bite in this approach is that the form, seemingly harmless as it looks, will see the downfall of many who do not declare properly. Because any misrepresentation, any dishonest declaration would constitute an offense for which you can actually lose your seat. So I think that is where the sting is, and I think I hope that our politicians have realized that.
I need to know, because Irene says they'll verify, so is ESS going to come back and now announce to Kenyans that this is what we found out later, assuming I'm elected MP, you know, then later, you know, an anomaly is found, maybe I lied under oath. So should I lose my seat?
Yes, it means that a process can be started that could lead to you losing your seat. So the expectation is not that the ESCC will come back to us before the elections, because this is a gigantic task that they may not be able to perform. But anytime after the elections, any dishonest declaration or false declaration that is found in that form could be the beginning of the fall for any member of parliament.
Okay. Before I come back to Jane, who is going to tell us if she has been vetted on this show, actually. Bobby, yes. What's your take about this self-declaration? Because the views I've gathered from Kenyans out there is that they are not comfortable, because self-declaration in itself, you know, is not as effective as we may think.
The philosophy is that at the first instance, you're the one to declare. You're the one with the information about yourself. You're the one who is seeking votes from Mwananchi, and you have to go to Mwananchi and tell them that this is who you are and this is what you're made of, this is what you own. So the principle is that it comes from you first. And that is why, beyond just allowing you to do it in person, there's the oathing or ensuring that it is commissioned, so that if you declare anything that is wrong, then you'll be held culpable for the same in the future. And as Commissioner Keino has indicated, there is also room for us as Wananchi, for those of us who have information about any person, any aspirant, or any candidate, to come forward and furnish the Commission and the other agencies with a similar information that would help make informed decisions about these aspirants. We have to go back also to remembering that the very first article of the Constitution gives us, and we said it as Kenyans, that the sovereignty belongs to us, the people of Kenya. And so that primary responsibility is not only beholden to the aspirants or the candidates, but also to those of us. If we have any information about an aspirant or a candidate, then it will be your responsibility as a citizen of Kenya to furnish the relevant authorities and agencies with that information, so that it can help us sieve men and women that are of competence and suitability into running for office.
Jen, have you filled this form, self-declaration form?
Yes, I
And
have.
tell us, did you like this approach, and which seat are you running for?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to commend the Kenyan corruption led by Irene. I really appreciate. First, I'm an activist against corruption. If you saw that lady along Aga Khan Walk between 2004, 5, and 6, 2006, I went there to win souls to the Lord, and also to...
Which lady are you talking about?
This lady now.
Oh, that was yourself?
Yeah, that was me, and I had to resign.
You need to self-declare.
Oh,
like that,
thank you. And I resigned and from a position with an international company, and I went there. Piolo Lumumba had sent the secretary to listen to what that lady was saying, and it was all about this country. I am a crusader against corruption, because this is the fight that we need. And even the buying of votes, when somebody buys the vote, allow me to quote Matthew 10 and verse 8, because I base my argument from the good book. Matthew 10 verse 8 says that you freely received, freely you shall give. Every one of us received a free vote. Why would you sell it? Why are you selling the country at 1,000 bob or at a flour, 1 flour? Let nobody buy your vote. Vet us. Please start with me. Vet us, look at us, listen to what we have to say in these debates, and let you be the one clearly going to the ballot box and saying this one out and this one in, so that we have new, fresh blood in the leadership of Kenya.
All right, thank you. Let's get to hear the audience members. I'll start from the gentleman on the third row. In a tie, third row, yes, you. Your name, please.
My name is Henry Paul Gichana.
Speak up.
My name is Henry Paul Gichana, Chairperson, KU School of Law. My question goes to the Commissioner on the issue of the provision that has just been read on the form. What's the threshold for dishonesty? And what is the limitation as to time? How far back does it date? And to Reverend, is the entry of the clergy into politics an approach, or rather a remedy to corruption in Kenya? Thank you.
Okay. There's a lady's hand that, yes, that on the fourth row. Yes.
Yeah.
Your name, please.
I'm Frida Mwenda, and my question is on the issue of whereby Madam saying that they will inform the public when the aspirants don't declare their information. And now, this public, have you informed them? Have they been educated about the vetting? And if not, I think it's almost late because the elections are very much near. And then when you send that, if I know any information about an aspirant, I can report. How safe is my report?
Okay, thank you, Frida. I think, Irene, you're going to take that. You can start with Gichana's question on the how do you measure the dishonesty?
Thank you very much. The form is actually very good. If you've gone through the questions, the moral and ethical requirements are actually raised. And if you look at even the Election Act, if you look at the Article 99, Article 193, the theme of moral and ethical requirements of our leaders is actually being brought out. When I come back to the issue of threshold, if you look at our Leadership and Integrity Act, unfortunately, those provisions were actually removed, from the Act. So we decided as a commission that even if these provisions have been removed, we shall go ahead and ask them to fill in these. At least it's a starting point. And if you look at this election and compare it to the previous election, this is an election where even a degree, if you lack a degree, you actually will be barred out. And if you look at the Leadership and Integrity Act, Section 13, I believe, it gives the list of the moral questions that we need to adhere here. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the threshold, do we weigh if somebody has one tick, let's say he has been convicted, does that bar him? That's a challenge for us. And maybe the courts might help us to determine that aspect.
Okay, then there was a question from Frida about informing the public, those ones who have not declared. When do we expect a list of those ones who have failed to declare?
When we started this exercise on 5th of December last year, we actually asked the public that we shall come back to them to actually give their comments. So we expect people who interact with the radio, because it was on radio and TV and local print media. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, because of the timelines between this unique election, we are actually within our Kenya Integrity Forum. We have 16 partner states, sectors, through the KEPSA, through civil society. We are trying to infill the information so that it reaches within our local.
Thank you.
levels.
Agenda Kenya takes a break now, but we'll be back with more discussion on corruption. Don't go away. Welcome back to Agenda Kenya with me, Jason Nyantino. Tonight we are focusing on the track record of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the statutory body that is charged with the responsibility of fighting corruption. How well is it doing its job? Bobby, before you took a break, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I wanted to respond to my sister Frida's question about you as a mwananchi, if you furnish the commission with information, how safe is that information or that report? And I'm sure Commissioner will add something, but one of the things is that you can actually anonymously place reports or furnish the commission with reports. If you wish your identity not to be disclosed, then you can present your report, give your information, and then your identity will be kept confidential. But if you do wish your identity to be disclosed, then it's really up to you. But beyond that, we also have a legal framework that helps protect the would-be whistleblowers, the people who come out and present information that helps the Commission and other agencies to follow up on cases. And that is a Witness Protection Act within which you can be placed under and protected and help the Commission and other relevant agencies in processing that particular report or case. So it is very safe.
Okay, Jen, there was a question from Kichana, I think, about the clergy in politics.
Yes.
I think he thinks you have enough to accomplish in the pulpit.
Yeah, thank you, Gishana. I'll put my points in numbers. Very quickly, I'll go to the first point. First, I want to apologize to Kenya for what has already happened with the clergy in parliament. It is a shame to this country when we see corrupt clergy men and women in parliament. And therefore, that is why I must say that still, however corrupt it may be, there is still hope for this nation. And that is why now God is calling forth new people like me, so that when we go, we can cleanse and we can reconcile. And we want to tell you that there must be the arm of the church. So I want to apologize for the letdown from our spiritual fathers and mothers, the corruption that has been there, it is evident. Secondly... So
we expect something different from Jen?
Yes, you should.
I'll invite you to this same program. I hope you will take my calls. Eh?
I will pick your calls.
Because we have a tendency when people are elected to parliament, they buy new SIM cards.
That should not happen. Why is because we will have this recorded, we will keep in touch, and it is serious business. I must tell you that God is a very serious father. And that is why he's raising, just like we are raising new people to go to parliament, that is the same way God has raised a new, fresh anointing to get there in the positions of what has already been ratified. So Kenya, forgive us.
Thank you. Let me take my next question from Hamisi Lugogo. Hamisi, your question, please.
Thank you. I'm Hamisi from Kenyatta University School of Law. My question is, apart from the aspirants being barred from going ahead to the polls, are they also going to be ordered to return all the assets they acquired through malpractice?
Acquisition of assets. Samuel, you'll take that, then I can spread it to Irene.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. The law, the Constitution, as well as the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Law, and I would go back also the Public Officer Ethics Act of 2005. These pieces of legislation envisage that any property that is acquired corruptly can be traced, frozen, and the person who has acquired it forced to return it. So there is a process for that purpose, and I think that is not an administrative process. It's more of a judicial process. So this could very well lead to property being repatriated, and I think the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has recovered stolen property previously, and that option is there in law.
Okay. Yeah. Irene, let's get to hear from you in more detail. What assets have you been able to recover? And as you answer that, we'll also want to know if there are any casualties about this vetting process. Are we expecting big names, to be on that list of casualties?
One thing about the recovery of assets, we also have a regulations called amnesty regulations, where if somebody has taken assets and is willing to give back, actually they are under review at the moment. We are not authorizing them, but we can sit down. There will be a committee involving top senior people, where we can at least not lose everything, but at least reclaim back some of the assets. And where we know, even if we went to court, we'll not get them back. In terms of noting about casualties, I think it is too early to note. We have 17,000 forms. We've managed to capture in, by today, I think 11,000. The balance is quite large. And then we start verification. So it's too early to tell.
So in terms of time frame, what are you looking at? A month, 2 months?
In terms of time frame, we were thinking a month, probably, because the verification now will take quite some time. This is according to the questions, for example, if I can take one, are you a member of a professional body? We are actually going to list down all the professional bodies that are in that form and approach them and try to see if all these people are in good standing. If you have contravened the Public Ethics Officers Act in regard to former public servants, we shall go to previous reports and try to see if this information is actually there. Okay. So it's too early to tell.
All right, I'm curious to know, though, if I'm a casualty in this process, can I vie next time? Maybe I repent my sins. I just tell my God, I'm sorry. Can I vie in 2017?
I think it is a case by case, because if you're convicted on corruption charges, you're barred 10 years. So you have to stay away for 10 years to at least, maybe the church can help you to grow wise. And then you come back.
Can't repent in between here.
No.
Bobby, do you think it's fair?
Even the Constitution, Article 75 of the Constitution actually bars people who have been found to be guilty and have been convicted of corruption, abuse of office. And then the specific act now, as she says, bars now, if it's economic crimes, for 10 years. So that is the law. So beyond you going to Jane and through her seeking repentance to the Lord, then there is a law that we have to satisfy, and you'll be barred from holding public office for at least that period.
As you come in, Samuel, yes. I want you to also tell us, where are we in terms of corruption index as a country globally? Because we've been faring very badly.
Yes, I just wanted to say that it's important to note that the constitutional standard for integrity is not just a criminal standard. There is also an ethical standard. I think when we speak, more often than not, we talk about the criminal standard, which requires a much higher proof and is a more stringent process. There is an ethical process that requires an administrative process, which, in my view, is what Parliament deleted from the relevant legislation. In terms of the ranking of this country, we are at position 139 in the last index.
So we are leading from the bottom, or?
Yes, that means that we have not improved much. If you look at the index over the years, well, the methodology, the scoring changed the last 1 year. But if you look over the last 10 years, our score has been between 2.0 and 2.2 on the corruption perception index, out of a possible 10 being the cleanest. So you can see we are really in the bottom quartile.
Who is better than us in Africa?
Well, we have Botswana, we have Rwanda nearby, and Nigeria has come up very strongly, interestingly, and Tanzania. Actually, our neighbors here, with the exception of Burundi.
So we are the worst in the region.
And Uganda, we are really...
We are the worst in the region.
Among the worst, yes.
Oh dear. I'm not going to say I'm a Kenyan anytime. Let's get to the audience now. The lady at the back.
I'm Scholastica from Kenyatta University, and I would like to know from the panel, how easy will it be to vet mainly the politicians whom we know they are in the top cream, and for many years we have known that they have been involved with many scandals, but in Kenya it is very possible to hide the evidence, and they always get away with it. How easy will it be to vet these people? Thank you.
Okay, the high and the mighty. Who has not spoken? The gentleman in the tie, third row. Your name, please?
Yeah, I'm Simiu Dennis, the chairperson, KU Ruiru campus. My question is, we find out that we have those politicians, we have those leaders who have already maybe taken the properties, that's the public properties, and now they are willing to return them back. How sure are we that if they return them back, they are forgiven? How sure are we that they can take that loophole to be forgiven, then they go back so that they can take more? Which measures have you taken?
Okay, thank you. This side now, the lady in front here.
I'm Cecilia Muthoni. My question is still on the amassing of property. Okay, we find that in Kenya, some people are too cunning. I could take property, but I register it under another person's name. How sure are we that through the commission, we can still get away through the process to which they got the property.
Okay, we can start with Scholastica, the high and the mighty. You know, in Kenya, we really fear the high and the mighty. We are waiting for that day when we'll see a minister in jail, in committee. I don't know, they have their own committees, but they're the only committee that we know.
I think Kenya, we shouldn't feel like we are lost. There are so many provisions that have been established that will ensure that we fight the war. But to me, if you have acquired unjust wealth, there is documents, there are facts. It is so difficult to hide them. Okay, like what she's talking about, registering a property in a different... there are avenues where we can track this property. But the only challenge that EACC has is when we take matters to court, the time for them to be addressed to conclusion is usually very long. So witnesses have died, evidence is lost. So those are some of the challenges that we will address in the new parliament that comes, so that our law can actually be stronger.
But with the new judiciary, are things slightly better, because we are seeing a lot of positive things happening from the judiciary?
Yes, things are a little better, but to me as a commission, we would want to have special anti-corruption courts where our matters are actually addressed fast and concluded. Because if you look at Uganda, that's what they do. And my colleague in Uganda, within 2 months, 3 months, a case is concluded and we know the effects. But here it takes too long. Okay. Yeah.
All right, Bobby, you can respond to either. Especially, I want you to start with the politicians who have grabbed, property. How sure are we when they return? Are we told that they return, or they just return quietly? And we might assume that they return when they don't even return.
It's true, because I think even on aspects of like land, people had grabbed parcels of land and emanating from the Ndungu report. I think time and time again I've heard the different ministers in charge of that portfolio land make claims that certain politicians have returned those parcels of land.
So we need to know.
So we need to confirm whether that's true or not, but also through other processes that the Commission has been involved in, the confiscation or seizure of public land and other properties has been possible. The way to confirm this, and as I was saying before, the law is very clear, as Commissioner Irene was indicating earlier, that there is the process and the regulations that appertain to the issue of amnesty and how a person will be treated if they do come forward and seek to return property that they wrongfully or illegally acquired. But also we have to remember that also technically leads to a conviction, an agreement, your personal agreement, agreeing to the fact that you did illegally or unlawfully acquire public property. And so when you look within the confines of the Constitution, then you really have to suffer the consequences of you being barred from holding public office until the length of time that is stipulated. But otherwise, the regulations that are still being worked on will give clearer demarcations of how such persons will be treated.
Yes, quickly, please, Irene.
I want also to tell the public that there are avenues where we have actually gotten back property. One is the Uhuru Gardens in Mombasa. The other one is the Woodley here in Nairobi. Those are properties that we have actually acquired and returned back. So
who had taken them, just out of curiosity?
I don't think I can divulge that information here. I don't even have it.
If they have returned, they are very good citizens. We need to know these good citizens. Anyway, so that sounds positive. So we expect our good friends who have taken public property to return it, isn't it? Samuel, quickly, please.
To go back to the question of Scholastica on the vetting of the high and mighty, I just want to remind us as voters that we are the mightiest of all. There is actually nobody who is going to occupy an elective office come 5th of March who is not going to get it through the vote. And therefore, that vote is the door to any office, any elective office. So we are the mightiest of all. And if we wake up on March 5th and find ourselves with leaders of questionable integrity, then it is us who will have failed. because we have the power now. They are coming to us, literally begging for our votes, coming to our homes and beseeching us to give us their votes. It is our time now to do a checklist, and there is a vetting tool that I know some organizations, including us, have developed to help citizens assess the leaders who are coming to us for their votes. We are calling this as social vetting.
And you take a break? That's fine. Time for a break now. And if you're watching us, probably is a good opportunity for you to be part of this discussion by answering this question. Do you think the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is fighting corruption effectively? Text your answer to the number on your screen. Give us your name and where you're watching us from. You can also follow us on Twitter using #AgendaKenya. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Agenda Kenya with me, Jason Nyantino. Tonight we are focusing on the fight against corruption, and we're finding out if the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has capacity to make us kiss goodbye to corruption. Jane, you wanted to say something about the questions from the audience.
Yes.
Quickly, please.
Yes. To Scholastica, I would want to say, I'll speak from two angles. The first angle is the church. We are praying that that we are going not to have our country getting into the corruption that has been there before. Secondly, I would also want to talk as an independent candidate. I'm not just talking for this government, but there's something new that is happening. Number one, at IEBC, I filled up forms. There was no money they asked for. So I want to commend the chairman, Mr. Hassan, for what they are doing. And I also want to thank LSK. I believe God is going to use that body to ensure that corruption is going to be dealt with. And lastly, I would also want to say...
Jen, you're very happy with very many institutions. That's very positive.
Yes. I think the Lord allowed me to go through those channels and queuing up like a common Wananchi to see them really. I queued up at your office. You never knew that we were going to share a panel. And they happily gave me the forms. Nobody was jumping another on the queue. At IEBC, nobody asked for any bribe. So when I went there as a small person, just a common Wananchi, I saw what God is doing.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll take my next question from Dennis Ondeyo. Dennis, your question, please.
My name is Dennis Ondeyo, and my question is all about the public actually. How far has the Commission gone in ensuring that also the public takes its part in vetting of the politicians and all those who are going to hold offices? And again, in our country, do we have enough officers of anti-corruption, and are they distributed all over the country so that because corruption does not only occur in Nairobi?
Irene, I want you to tie that in with the public awareness about corruption as you respond to his question.
Okay, thank you. The public awareness question will be taken by my technical person who's in the audience. But in regard to the presence of EACC, we are in 5 locations, in towns, We are in Mombasa, we are in Nyeri, we are in Garissa, we are in Eldoret and Kisumu. And we are also seeking partnership with IEBC. IEBC has 16 offices, so we are also trying to ensure that if it is the issue of self-declaration forms, can they be picked from those hotspots where IEBC is? Mm-hmm. So in terms of presence, we are trying. We are a small commission. We are only 275 staff at the moment, but the mandate ensures that we have to go out to all the 47 counties. Okay. So depending on budget and all that, we shall ensure we expand. But in terms of, in your first question where you asked how are the public engaged in reporting corruption, First of all, in this exercise of the self-declaration for elective aspirants, we are asking the public to bring your comments. So that is an avenue of public participation. But where you see corruption is actually going on, where your neighbor is actually corrupt, you can also come and report to the commission. So the public are really involved.
Just one question before we go to your colleague in the audience. Is lack of a director in EACC affecting your operations? Because we are all aware that there's no director in EACC.
Unfortunately, our structure has also changed. We have 3 commissioners, the chair and 2 members, and we have a CEO, not a director anymore. Mm-hmm. We got the approval of the CEO, I think last week from Parliament. We forwarded his name to Parliament for approval.
Who is it?
He's called Mr. Halake Wako, yeah.
Formerly of the National Cohesion.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are waiting for swearing in, and we'll actually come to the public and introduce him. And he's going to run most of the provisions that the commissioners set on board for him. So the thing that is really affecting the commission is the transition changes that have happened. We have stayed away for 1 year to be actually be appointed to sit in that office. Mm-hmm. So the commission had no leadership direction at that moment. So that really affected the commission, yes.
But now things are changing?
Yes.
All right. Let's get to your colleague in the audience who can give us some insights about public awareness on corruption.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. My name is Vincent Okongo, Coordinator Preventive Services, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I want to say that since the promulgation of the new constitution, the Commission has put in place various measures to equip the public with information to participate not only in understanding the Constitution, especially Chapter 6, but also their responsibility and role in vetting. We have engaged through the media to educate the public and to inform them about their rights and what to look for when they are nominating and now going to elect leaders. We have also engaged in various outreach programs, and in fact the next set of outreach programs are starting next week in Kericho and Eldoret. We will also have regional integrity forums in Murang'a and Nanyuki. We have had similar ones in Mombasa, Kisumu, Nyeri, Embu, Garissa, and many other places. So we are indeed confident that we have given the public the necessary information they need to participate in voting.
Do you have capacity in terms of resources to do these outreach programs, or are you constrained in terms of resources?
I want to say that outreach programs are very expensive and media programs are very expensive. I want to confirm that we don't have all the resources, and therefore we are working very smartly. We are working with our stakeholders and partners as we engage government to allocate us more resources to facilitate a sustainable education program over time. But I want to agree with you that we don't have sufficient resources.
Sorry, I need very specific details. Assuming you're somewhere, you're doing an outreach program, let's say Kericho or Kisumu, how does it go?
First and foremost, we use our partners on the ground and the provincial administration and the media to inform the people in that particular area and the theme of our outreach program. And the theme of our outreach program in the last 1 year has been leadership with integrity, my role as a citizen. And we also have caravans that go around that specific region, propagating this message and engaging the public. In the process, we are also able to receive reports on corruption, touching only on various leaders and public officials and others. We are also able to answer questions to the public with regard especially to Chapter 6 and its provisions.
Thank you.
And how they can report corruption.
Thank you for that information. Samuel, I want you to come in here in terms of the public outreach and EACC. Do you think it's been effective?
Well, I think there is a lot that needs to be done. As Irene says, the Commission has been without leadership for quite some time. Actually, since August 2011, I would say, the Commission has been without leadership. And actually, for some time, they couldn't incur any significant expenditure because even the acting people there didn't have the authority to incur expenditure for quite some time. I think that has affected a lot what the Commission has been able to achieve. Speaking for the Kenyan, when I interact with Kenyans, they do feel that the Commission is not active. They feel that the Commission has not reached out to them. And I think this is a challenge to the Commission, that the Commission needs to be felt across the country. If you look at what the law provides that the commission has to offer its services across the country. And this is something that the commission has to put emphasis on. The issue of the chairman of the commission is an important one, and I think is an indicator perhaps of the political commitment to the fight against corruption in this country.
Bobby, yes. You have an impressive track record dealing with children and young people in this country. What can you advise EACC in terms of mainstreaming school children, catch them young? Some of these old guys are very corrupt. They will not change. Many of them will not change, I can assure you, because we know about this old dog and new tricks. Yeah. What can you advise the commission?
I think it's a good way to start fighting corruption right from our homes. So we go back to the families, because when you look at corruption, it's actually a failure or a breakdown of moral and ethnic fabric. So where children come out of homes where they're not taught that they should be honest, forthright, what corruption actually is, then they will grow up into being what we don't want. And I think one strategic way of ensuring that we have a method of ensuring the right information and education is inculcated in our children is even going to the schools and ensuring that part of the curriculum, part of what children are taught has or is infused with lessons on corruption, on moral and ethnic basis, also on what the law says. And this can be done right from as I said, the family, in schools, in high school, and even to the highest level of education. So I think EACC, working with curriculum developers like KIE, the Ministry of Education, and other stakeholders, can ensure that our institutions of learning, both formal and non-formal, have an ingredient of ensuring that issues of corruption are with us all, and we can be able to fight it right from the root.
Thank you. Jen, I want to hear you on this. What's the role of the church in fighting corruption? We are all aware that experts are telling us that actually the country loses a third of the national budget, 300 billion, gets lost through corruption. And the church is here, sitting pretty.
Thank you very much, Jason. I also want to say that we are not only losing money, but the word of God is clear in Psalm 55 and verse 23. It says that it cuts short your life. The minute you involve yourself in that city council shortcut where you're supposed to pay the 140 shillings parking fee and you want to pay the 20 or the 50 bob, it is very clear that it cuts short life. So the first thing we are doing is to educate the people, the dangers. We can have a good economy, a good country, development, but look at how people just die. It's our main concern, the lives of the people. The minute you engage yourself in corrupt deal, asking, taking, it cuts short your life. And I must say one more thing. When you buy a television, you have a manual that indicates on how you should use and how you should operate that TV. The same way with our lives, family values, marriages, how to teach our children, our values, how we should operate is written in the Bible. We cannot ignore the book.
Thank you, thank you. I've run out of time. Just 5 seconds, very quickly.
5 seconds. I just want to tell the Kenyans that at EACC, we've actually now looking at social media. We are on Twitter and we are on Facebook. We're actually posting some values that our society should have. And the messages that go out on Facebook are a little bit toned down because there we might find some youth. So that's something to go around.
Thank you, and that does it for Agenda Kenya this week. I thank my panel and my studio audience for that informative discussion, and of course, all of you at home for watching. You can still be part of this discussion by responding to this question. Do you think the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is fighting corruption effectively? Text your answer to the number on your screen. Give us your name and where you're watching us from. You can also follow us on Twitter using hashtag Agenda Kenya or log into our Facebook page. And until next week, bye-bye.